A couple of JUCO transfers, the squad assigned yet another transfer in Wendell Matthews. The 6'7" forward averaged over 16 points a game last year for North Iowa Area Community College. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Marquise Robinson for the Milton Panthers. At 6'3", 300 pounds, the big defensive lineman, they call him Big Baby, but make no mistake, there's nothing childish about his game. This young man is an absolute dominant force between the tackles. He possesses great size and rare quickness for the position. Robinson is a 4-star recruit and ranked as the number 18th defensive tackle in the nation by 247 Sports. His offers include Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Florida State. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you, and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
The king has spoken, and he could not be prouder of this kingdom. Pensacola is strong, and he knows we will all get through this. As the flooring king, he declares that whether it's hardwood, tile, carpet, or even luxury vinyl plank, all loyal subjects are assured that they will receive nothing but first-class installation at the most affordable prices. Don't wait to get started. Stop by their showroom on North Palafox, just south of 9 Mile Road, or find King Jonathan on the Royal Internet Highway at jonathansflooring.com.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home to hometown sports, covering the biggest high school games. UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. And weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome in to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. I know it's a little rainy outside. I hope you're doing well, staying safe. Appreciate you tuning in with us. But, of course, continue to practice social distancing at this time. As always, I'm sure you know that, obviously. Listen, as we always start off the show, we got a lot to get to in today's show. A lot of, great things to talk about moving forward, some unfortunate ones as well. But, listen, we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. and always. I think it's important that this gets highlighted now because of COVID-19 and everything that's going on. But listen, we appreciate those people being out on the front lines each and every day, helping us in ways that we can't imagine. I think it's important to understand the role they play in our lives day to day. Of course, when you have a pandemic like this, you see people step up in ways that we've never seen. As a community, we've done a great job. But as friends, having friends and family that are on both sides of the spectrum here, great to hear the stories of the support they've gotten from the community as well. Listen, we also want to thank our essential employees out there, from grocery store workers to truck drivers. We forget about these people sometimes. And if you've been going to the grocery store and things been a little packed through this whole pandemic, look, just think about what it's like for them as well. Okay, they're putting themselves out there, trying to make things better for you as well. Whether you had to follow a simple sign of going down a specific aisle or not, whatever, just use a little patience. And you know what? Give them a thank you if you see them. But if you're a restaurant that's been open, we appreciate it. And for our community as well, we have rocked this thing. We are getting back to somewhat of normalcy, whatever that may mean moving forward. But nonetheless, we appreciate all those folks out there, including our sponsors and what they mean to our community. Look, our sponsors, that's the reason we can come to you right now and talk some football with you and hopefully give you a little break of what's going on around the world right now. It's unfortunate, but, we're going to talk some football. But first things first, Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, JP, and I second your thoughts there on all the different groups that you mentioned, and thank goodness for their efforts. We would really be in bad shape if not for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to remember the recovery that we've done is a lot of social distancing, but the way the healthcare and first responders, how they've been able to react as well, being I know we can't say prepared for it because I don't think we could ever be prepared for something like that, but I think we learned a lot and they did a fantastic job. And if you're listening and you're one of those right now, we thank you so much. No matter if you're essential, regardless, we appreciate it, all of our listeners here. And listen, we have a ton to talk about. Unfortunately, Coach, I want to start this off. John Majors, who coached Pittsburgh to a national championship in 1976, started as a player at Tennessee back in the 50s, later returned to his alma mater as a coach to lead the Volunteers back to national prominence, died this morning, passing away at 85 years old. Of course, Majors went by John among his friends, and family was known as Johnny as a player and a coach. His name will forever be intertwined with the University of Tennessee and the entire state. Of course, his wife here, Mary Lynn Majors, released a statement saying, "It's with a sad heart that we make this announcement." Look, she was his wife of 61 years, and she also wanted to mention, I think this was fantastic the way she put this. John passed away this morning. He spent his last hours doing something he dearly loved, looking out over his cherished Tennessee River. Coach, when you look at John Majors here, I know he touched a lot of people. He was a great man, great football player as well. But just what he meant to this, the state of Tennessee and Tennessee football as well, just will never be forgotten.
Well, that's for sure. And gosh, I go back, Johnny Majors won the Heisman Trophy in 1956. He was a single-wing tailback, going back to the glory days of Tennessee football. People, too, have forgotten that he had quite a record as a head coach. He coached for quite a while. Iowa State, Pittsburgh. I mean, winning a national championship at the time that he did with Pittsburgh was almost unbelievable. I've heard some of the stories about how he got the Pittsburgh alumni together and talked to them about what they had to do to really bring that program back. Now, it's tough right now. I've said this many times. If you've ever been on the University of Pittsburgh campus, it's tough to bring those recruits in there and say, this is where you're going to spend the next 4 years of your life, especially if they've had a chance to visit any other campuses. But he kept all those Pittsburgh kids, and there are a lot of good football players around Pittsburgh. But he kept all those kids at home, including Tony Dorsett and quite a few others that were on that Pittsburgh team. They won a national championship. And then when he went to Tennessee, I think did an outstanding job. Well, first, people don't realize the job he did at Iowa State. How do you win at Iowa State? How do you win at Pittsburgh? But he did. And then he went to Tennessee, won 3 SEC championships at Tennessee. So, good coach and a heck of a football player. because he could do it all. He was a triple threat. Back then, the single-wing tailback in Tennessee, you had to be a triple threat. You had to be able to run with the football, throw the football, and also punt it, kick it. So he did all that and more. Won the Heisman Trophy, as I said, in 1956. So it's tough to lose him, but golly, what a legacy he leaves.
Yeah, Coach, that you're talking about the tailback that he was. Robert Nealon once referred to Majors as the greatest single-wing tailback in Tennessee history, and he said it wasn't even close. He just talked. That says a lot. I mean, when you look at Nealon and what he meant as well to Tennessee and all the players that came through as well. But it's also important what you were talking about. Listen, he rebuilt programs. It's not just, some coaches walk into organizations and they're just ripe for the picking at the time. He rebuilt programs at Iowa State and Pittsburgh, and then even Tennessee. And like you said, leading the Vols to 3 SEC championships, including their first in 16 years in 1985. And, it's fantastic. I think something – you talk about his record. He was 185, 137, and 10 as a career record as a coach and was named National Coach of the Year 3 times. But this is the aspect I look of a guy and what an impact he has. His coaching tree includes 33 assistant coaches who later became head coaches in either the college or professional ranks. I think that is a sparkling number. When you look, that is a ton of assistant coaches right there moving on, and that just shows the impact that he has and shows the impact that a coach can have on a lot of people. It's unfortunate, but it's becoming more real in society. We just lost Pat Dye earlier as well, but he's a man. Once again, I'm one to advocate for there is a time for mourning, but a guy like Johnny Majors, he's a guy that should be celebrated. What an awesome human being. But Coach, moving forward here, some NFL teams, they come out now and say that they will not permit teams to have joint practices this summer. And the reason we bring this up, of course, we heard earlier, the players won't be allowed until training camp to report to their facilities. They will have to have their facilities or their training camp at their actual facility. No, some of these teams, I think there's 9 teams in the NFL that have it in different places, but nonetheless, they will be at home. No joint practices. It's interesting, Coach, because this is moving towards, obviously, the NFL. Interesting enough is trying to take some of the not protocol out of this, but some of the, I guess, chances of, guys spreading it. I mean, playing, joint practices. We thought that this may be something, if they didn't have preseason, that they could have some joint practices moving forward. We heard some teams talking about possibly the first couple people they played during the year going and practicing with them. But, Coach, with no joint practices, what's next for the NFL right now, in your opinion?
Well, this makes sense. They're talking about, anytime you talk about the safety of the players and the coaches and the people that have to be around each other, if they are going to properly keep these locker rooms and places where the players are going to be staying, and so if they're going to keep them sanitized, that's a major job. How many people are they going to think about? How many people are they going to have to bring on just to do that job every day? How many times a day are they going to have to do it? Sanitize. Now, if every team had a different location, that would just double, triple the problem of keeping it sanitized, keeping everything sanitized, and keeping people away from each other as much as possible. They're trying to alleviate every threat that they possibly can. And I can understand that. And quite frankly, I agree with them. Stay at home, get it done. Now, the next thing that may happen, don't be surprised if they eliminate some of the preseason games. It wouldn't shock me, JP. It wouldn't shock me at all. I don't think they'll do away with all of them, but it wouldn't shock me if they did away with preseason altogether, just to eliminate that possibility of infection before they get the season started. Once they commit to the season, they can't afford to have a drawback. They just cannot afford to have a do-over. They're going to have to be able to go forward. So I could see them not taking any chances at all before the start of the season. Get those first games played, and if they have to deal with somebody being positive, then they'll have to deal with those people in particular. But this doesn't surprise me at all, and look forward maybe even a step further.
Coach, when we talk about preseason games here, that was the interesting. I know you've talked about it before, as you could see the preseason games, maybe not all of them, like you said, but some of them going away. Coach, we look at college football, and there's no real preseason there. We see week 0, whatever the heck that means in college football nowadays. But there's no preseason there, and these players go out and they just start the season off. That's why we see some teams schedule some of the cupcakes for week 1. But in the NFL, there's a lot more to that, obviously, because in college you have your team. You're not really going out and cutting players and making decisions there. You're going out and just playing some football. When you look at the NFL, how important is the preseason whenever, not just for the players, of course, getting their feet wet, because some of the veterans don't really play a whole lot in preseason anyway. They play a little bit. But how important is it, and how tough can it be for a coach if they have, we'll just say they don't have a preseason, to be able to make the decisions on players that, from guys you scheduled or you signed as free agents to guys you just drafted on whether they're going to make the team or not?
Well, it's very detrimental for the young guys and people they're not familiar with if they brought them in off the street, free agents or drafted them, first-time acquaintance with their system, being able to get that down and all not only the different language they got to learn, but so many things I couldn't even begin to go over all that is involved with the learning for a kid that is new to a football team. It's tremendous. So, yes, it's important. Now, here's the difference in pro and college. The pros only have, once they get down to their squad, and pretty much right away, they only have X number of players, I think 80, and then very quickly you're down. And then once you get down to your team or near your team, you're down in the 50s. Okay, the people available to practice. And you've got an offensive team and a defensive team. So, but colleges, they've got 100 people out there. Some of them more than 100 people. So they could have enough people for their defense to practice against and their offense to practice against without having to practice against first-team offense against first-team D and all that. So does that make sense? I mean, the colleges have more bodies available, and that's why the pros tried to get together because then they would have more bodies to have meaningful practices against.
Yeah, that's the thing is, in the NFL, you make cuts. You have a lot of decisions. Your rosters are slimmed down where, like you're talking about in college football, you have guys that they have rosters of 120 people out there. So it's a little bit different, and they're not having to make cuts necessarily. In the NFL, that was what I was trying to get at there, Coach, is the difference in how important preseason can be or is, for NFL to an extent. Now, like we said, the veterans they're not necessarily crazy about preseason regardless. They just kind of get their feet wet moving on. But for these rookies and trying to make teams, it's tough. And you know what, though? I understand everybody's against the gun right now. It's tough for everyone. Everybody's going through the same thing. So you just kind of have to adapt at this point. But, Coach, talking about some football here, we talked about, look, there's some room for some spring football as well. The XFL looked great. I know we mentioned them yesterday. Steve Spurrier said that he wants to coach that Florida team if he's offered. But the XFL, I bring this up because it's official date now. On August 3rd, the XFL will have a new owner. Now, there's upwards of 20 potential buyers right now that have signed into this that are looking to bid on the XFL. And a lot of people are believing that since they're doing this on August 3rd, and there's a lot of things still in place, a lot of these organizations, when you talk about all the XFL teams, the 8 teams there, still have agreements for some of these arenas and things like this. And we'll see what happens with COVID-19. But still, as of right now, believe that XFL will be back in 2021, but August 3rd, that'll be the official auction date. So we'll find out as early as August 3rd who is going to own the XFL, and, of course, after that, we'll see what happens with it. But, Coach, I just bring that up because we've talked about it. Look, there's a market for it, obviously, but August 3rd is the official date.
You bet. You bet there's a market for it, and I think I can certainly understand why there are at least 20 people that are looking to bid on it. Let me start some conspiracy
yes.
theory here. What if what if some NFL owners got together and put a surrogate in the group to buy the XFL, and they would have their minor league pros, which they talked about for years, other than college, where you could take those younger guys or kids who can't make it in college for whatever reason, give them a chance to even come right out of high school if they want to, if they're good enough, big enough, and whatever, come out and play pro football. That would be one, and the other would be the guy that had him before. He might have he said he's not going to bet on it, but he might have a surrogate in there. So it could be interesting. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll know once this all becomes final and they get started with how the league is going to go and the philosophy of the league and so on. We'll have an idea if that's a possibility.
Coach, that's interesting. Now, the whole Vince McMahon thing, I believe that even though he said that he was not going to bid on it, that doesn't mean that he can't have somebody on the inside like you're talking about. I've said that from once he went bankruptcy here and made that statement. But, look, the NFL, that would be really interesting just because we talk about, look, Oliver Luck has been on the show. He's talked to us. They want to be a compliment to the NFL, and they were a great compliment to the NFL. I thought they did a fantastic job, and I think it's only going to get better because we saw the product on the field wasn't half bad. The quarterback situation was better. Some surprise guys stepping up that maybe we didn't think about, but I thought the talent level was pretty good for what it was. But that's interesting, Coach. I think that would be a fantastic move. And imagine when you're talking about the money and the way they could pour into that minor league system, because everybody believes. There's tons of articles, and I'm a firm believer as well as I believe you are, Coach, obviously. The NFL needs this. They need this big time. This would only enhance their brand even more, and you're talking about putting better products on the field. Boy, this would be something exciting. But listen, we got to go to a break. When we come back here, we're going to talk about some official – look, FSU, finally, if you're a Florida State fan, you've got the announcement here of the official transfers. These guys aren't going anywhere anymore, at least not for a while. John Madden talking about, well, he's against artificial crowd noise, and if college football limits fans, who gets left out? We'll talk about all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion, and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. Now, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. See a little rain outside, so if you're on the roads, well, drive just a little bit slower. It's good to see some rain around here. I know we need it. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the tropical storm right now. We'll see what happens. We've got plenty of time, but regardless, keep an eye on that. And listen, we're talking some football with you. Talking about Florida State, Coach. This is a team, we talked about them a little bit this week already. But we talked about some of the guys that they may be getting here in the transfer portal. And sometimes, listen, things happen where a guy says he's going to transfer there, things fall out. It's really nothing is set in stone anymore. We know that until the paperwork is done and they officially announce these guys here. So if you're a Florida State fan, good news this morning waking up. The newest Seminoles are Miko Dotson, a grad transfer defensive back from Florida Atlantic, another defensive back, Jarian Jones, and defensive tackle Fabian Levette, who both transferred from Mississippi State with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Great news. I think Miko Dotson, people forget, we talked about him a few weeks ago from Florida Atlantic. This guy comes in here. He led the country last year with 9 interceptions. He is a real deal. He's a grad transfer. He will be immediately eligible. Not sure what's going to happen with the other two guys. Who knows yet. We'll see what happens. I think they are filing for their chance to play immediately as well. But, Coach, when you look at these guys here, we talked about Jarian Jones, I believe, yesterday or day before. He's a guy that appeared in a lot of games, 11 games last year. A good player, solid player. Once again, 3 years of eligibility remaining. And Fabian Levette, this is a guy that appeared in 15 games for Mississippi State. A really academic guy, big time, great. These are the point I'm getting with these guys. They're high character guys, which we see Mike Norvell bringing in right now. We've talked about what a great job he's done, and he has his work cut out for him. He understands that, but I think the high character guys you bring in here. We talk about the locker rooms, Coach. You've been in NFL locker rooms, college locker rooms, things like that. How important it is from a player perspective and a coach perspective, but. Once again, this is great news for Florida State coming in. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to, of course, challenge Clemson this year. We'll see what happens, though. You know, you never know with guys. I know he's got his work cut out for him. But, Coach, 3 high-character guys coming to Tallahassee.
They really are. And not only that, but they're excellent talent. They're very talented kids. They've got extremely good experience, having played SEC football, and to boot, they give them an awful lot of depth now in a very, very tight window here for getting people ready for the season. Well, you've got to have if you're missing cornerbacks, especially in this day and age where people are throwing the football more, you've got a problem. But so they're really getting some quality players in, and it's certainly adding to the depth on their football team. Lavell's doing a very, very good job over there, and I think it's going to show. I like you. I'm not saying they're ready to take over the ACC again, but believe me, you don't necessarily look forward to playing Florida State from now on.
Yes, I agree with that. This is a team that was not very disciplined moving forward. Of course, the offensive line issues they had They brought in a lot of great recruits, and once again, we talked about Norvell and his recruiting and how fantastic it is. I mean, just being able to get in there 10 days basically before signing day and keep some guys around. I mean, look, this is important. He even got some guys to recommit that were going out to find other places. So it's important. I think Norvell, like we've talked about him ad nauseum here, he is doing a great job. But once again, it's Florida State fans. I'm sure you're being patient right now. The signs are moving forward, and give them a year or two. We'll see how fast this happens for Norvell. Nonetheless, very positive signs moving forward. But Coach, something getting back to the NFL side of things, a guy that have mixed opinions about him, a little crazy at times. But John Madden came out and said he does not want to hear artificial crowd noise in the NFL broadcast in 2020 if games are played without fans in attendance. Now, his reasoning, he said, is simple. Who would not want to hear more of what's said between players, coaches, and officials on the field? Coach, when you look at this, we hear, of course, the NFL's talk about piping noise in. You've talked about it. You thought it was a great idea. I think it's a great idea as well. But, look, I understand what John Madden's talking about to the extent of the XFL and some of the things that people liked. I don't think that's going to happen in the NFL. And to be honest with you, Coach, the players on the field, I don't want to know what's being said because, listen, we've all been there. Whether you played high school or whatever, it's not always PG-13. Let's just say that. I think that would be a terrible look on the NFL if they mic players up on the field.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I love John Madden. I think he's one of the all-time giants in football, and I know John very well. But he's wrong. He's wrong on this. To say he's wrong, I guess maybe not the right sentiment, but I certainly disagree with him vehemently. You don't want that. You don't want that in your home. You'd have to make sure that your children were out of reach of the television if you had that. And it's not something that's a part of the game. Should be a part of the game. That's all that trash talk and everything else. That's a different ballgame. That's a different sport. So no, I think it's good to pipe in the crowd noise and just show the action on the field, and switch to the box with the commentators, and don't necessarily show empty stands. In most cases, people won't know the difference, and I think it just adds a good bit to the football game to have some crowd noise. But I do not agree with having the voices so that you can hear them, people on the field, and even the coaches. I think that's most coaches would say absolutely not.
I agree, Coach. I would love to see Bill Belichick ask this question where he can respond however he wants to, because that's one that the face you would get. You already get the sour look sometimes, but I can't imagine what it would be like. And not just him, of course, all these coaches, just because of what goes on. And it's nothing bad. We're not saying that. I want to make that very clear. But it's just the heat of the moment, things like that going back and forth, words come out. It's tough. It's the stresses and everything that go along with it. It's not as not family friendly like a lot of people may think. You know what? I think the XFL, the little bit of taste you got, I don't think you can do that in the NFL. It's a different breed, but still, I understand what people are trying to say, but it's not a good look, and it would not be family oriented. We'll make that clear, Coach. This question was asked to me yesterday, texted in to me. Interesting enough, look, I hear this a lot. Now, we talk about college football limiting fans, the possibility of having fans and limiting them in the capacity of what we think is going to happen when we start the season if we do have fans. Now, this, of course, was a great article here talking about some of the athletic directors from around the country. Now, of course, Oklahoma, the athletic director came out and said, listen, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium accommodates over 80,000 people, and they've squeezed some more in there. But a beautiful scene. If you've never been there, beautiful stadium. I actually visited there, not when the game was there, but it's awesome just to see some of these stadiums, and it's eerie when they're empty. But he makes it clear because everybody's asking the question of, okay, well, if you limit your fans, say you only have 20,000 fans. We saw Ohio State say that they can fit 22,000 easily in that stadium by social distancing. How does this all work? Who gets it? Who doesn't? And I hear a lot of people asking that question, well, how are you going to narrow that down? And, Coach, we talked about this off air, of course, but it's simple. It comes out to, look, a lot of these people have something called legacy points. It's a way for people that buy season tickets. You get perks. I think, well, just about every franchise has something to this matter of you get these points each and every year. You build them up from getting season tickets, from buying certain things, from being a donor, whatever it may be. And he says that's what we're going to go by to start off with. We have to take care of those people that have taken care of us. And we understand that, listen, there'll be people that don't get in that want to get in. He said, but listen, we sell out our stadium just about every single game. So there are tens of thousands of people that don't get into the game already that are upset because they can't get a ticket. So this is going to be a little bit different. But, Coach, a no-brainer here when you look at the model and everything. And some of these teams have luxury boxes and 50 to 60 to 100 luxury boxes that they can use. And they're going to use every aspect to get every single fan they can that's safe. I think that's important. We have to remember the safety of all this. But, Coach, any problems with going by the legacy points of these are people that have supported you for so long, the donors, the season ticket holders? Any problem with that?
Well, it's ridiculous for somebody to say, well, who gets in might not be turned away. Baloney. That's been the situation since day one that they had a stadium. You only got so many seats, and that's it. So anybody that does not have a seat or can't get one because they're sold out is not entitled in to come in and sit on somebody's lap. So, it's just common sense. I don't know why anybody would be would say they wonder who they might let in, who they might keep out. You can bet on one thing: those people that have those luxury boxes that they're paying $1 million a year for, they're going to be in there. Now, they may limit the number of people in the box. Some of those boxes hold 25, 30, 40, 50 people. They might limit them to a certain number of people in the box, but they're going to be there. I wouldn't worry about that at all. I think they'll be very fortunate to have anybody in the stands, and we'll be extremely fortunate to have it on television. So I'd just be happy for that. But if they do let people in, then it'll be done on some type formula that's what they have to live with.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is no different. Let's not act like it really is. Yes, there's fewer fans that are right now that people are preparing to have in their stadiums, but it's no different if you try to get tickets, and if you're not a season ticket holder, a lot of times you can't. Listen, I have family members and friends that have been on the Bristol Motor Speedway. We just saw a NASCAR race there that are on a waiting list of like 6 or 7 years to get tickets for a 100,000 capacity arena there for NASCAR. Okay, so it's no different. It's just, look, people have to understand. We've talked about this. Things and times are different. You can still see it on TV. Let's not go back to the whole spoiled ways of doing things. We were just talking about we'll do whatever it takes to get football back, and then you've got people complaining about, well, what if I can't go watch my team? Well, you can. Turn on your TV or go to your local restaurant. I'm sure they'll have it on for you. But, Coach, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we talked a little bit about the SEC and the power rankings yesterday. We've got the Big Ten as well as some top quarterbacks in the league. Mike Tannenbaum made a comment that may surprise you a little bit, but we'll talk more about that when we come back after the break right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
For your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. Hockey legend Gordie Howe suffers from cryophobia, the extreme fear of cold and ice. That's what I call facing your fears. The grass at Wimbledon was kept 2 inches long until 1949 when an English player was bitten by a snake. And a man in Mississippi was briefly imprisoned for sorcery in 1884 after throwing a curveball at a county fair. So that means Clayton Kershaw would have been a wizard, right? That's your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP.
Hey, this is Chad Brillante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're doing well, driving safe out there. Looks like we got a little bit of rain, finally. A little bit more anyway. But regardless, we're talking some football with you. Coach, getting in, we talk about the SEC a little bit. The 247 Sports, which does a great job when we talk about recruiting, keeping us up to date, especially with our athletes around here in Pensacola as well. Have some really great talented athletes, but released their Big Ten power rankings. Now, we talked about it, like I said, the SEC yesterday. It's interesting enough because the team at the top of the list, Coach, I don't think it'll surprise you as much, but Ohio State Buckeyes, listen, we know the team that's coming back. They lost quite a bit of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, you know, J.K. Dobbins is gone. Justin Fields is back. Some of that offensive, or a lot of that offensive line is back. When you look at them, just about everywhere they have some depth, and it goes to along the lines of these top-tier teams with the recruiting they do. But, Coach, would you put Ohio State at the top of your list ahead of teams like Michigan and Penn State in the Big Ten?
I think so, JP. I think, like you, my concern would be what they lost defensively. But they have enough talent. They've recruited so well. There's so much talent, so much depth there that it's just probably a matter of retooling a little. But they are gonna miss those defensive people that they lost. Offensively, certainly they should be fine from the quarterback the year he had last year coming back. Most of their offense is back intact. They had some losses, but for the most part, they should be fine offensively. And they have a good coaching staff. Plus momentum, they know how to win, and they've been there before. So all of that adds up. Yeah, I would have to say they should be the leader in the Big Ten.
I would agree. I like Justin Fields a lot. I think he showed tremendous talent last year. That team just couldn't get over the hump there, of course, with Clemson and everything that happened. But nonetheless, it's a very talented team and a Big Ten that I tell you what, the Big Ten is good. It's a really good conference. When you look at this, Coach, this is a team that we've talked about quite a bit. This is a team that always seems to be in the mix, but they just can't win that big game. We saw them last year lose to Minnesota when they were on a roll there, and then, Minnesota, then the hype train was there. Then Minnesota, of course, lost. But Penn State, now James Franklin, I think, has done a fantastic job with Penn State, a very prestigious university when you talk about the old days with Joe Paterno. Look, this is a team that's very talented, obviously. defensively, there are very few teams that can trot out the talent that Penn State has put together. And the offense, of course, they got one of the deepest backfields. Sean Clifford, the quarterback there, is a big step forward. He's a Big Ten championship caliber quarterback. I love the way this kid plays. They have 3 11-win seasons in 4 years. To me, they're on the cusp of reaching the college football playoff. But listen, Coach, we understand you've got to get over the hump. You got to beat Ohio State. You cannot afford to lose games to Minnesota and stuff like this. But, Coach, nonetheless, number 2 right here, Penn State, I think this is a pretty good place for them in the Big Ten, number 2.
Well, I don't have anything better, I don't think, than Penn State right now. But Penn State always has a lot of talent, as you said, but there's something missing. They're going to lose to Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State just pummels them, and then they're going to lose a game to somebody along the way that they shouldn't. So I don't know what it is, whether it's the inability to find focus, as you have to be able to do during the course of the season, or what it is, but there's something missing on that football team. And until they get that solved and can certainly win all the games that they're supposed to, JP, I think it's going to be difficult for them to get beyond that. But you'd have to say they're probably the number 2 team at this point, especially with what they have coming back.
Yeah, I would agree. There's always that one thing missing there, Coach, and it's Ohio State is loaded. They're reloaded again. It seems every year we say that about them. But, Coach, number 3 here, the Michigan Wolverines. This is a team that, look, Harbaugh was brought in to take down Ohio State. He has not done it yet. He's gotten close. But it's interesting because, look, Shea Patterson's gone. A lot of that defense, they had every year it seems they have so many guys that get taken in the NFL draft on the defensive side of the ball. You talk about Josh Uche, the guy that the Patriots took right there, and that was one of their special picks, the guy that is the real deal. But I'm not going to count Michigan out. Look, I think that when you look at Josh Gaddis, his second year coming back, they had basically an offensive overhaul. They've shown some bright spots. Right now, the quarterback position is the big question. Joe Milton or Dylan McCaffrey? We talk about Dylan McCaffrey as a above-average quarterback, but Coach, when you look at Michigan here, look, no conference titles in more than a decade, 5 straight losses to Ohio State during Harbaugh's tenure. Do you see anything changing with that this year? Do you think that Michigan can get over the hump and finally take down Ohio State?
No, I don't. I think they're going to be in a race with Penn State. If we have to say Penn State's the number 2 team in the league, I would say it's between them and Michigan, and that's where the competition is going to be. I think Ohio State's going to maintain the top position. I don't see anybody beating them. Michigan, the loss of the quarterback, plus the continual mounting losses to Ohio State have an effect on a football team, especially as big as that game is between Michigan and Ohio State. You just can't continue to lose year after year after year and not believe that you just start believing that you can't do it. And I'm afraid that's where they are. And I think that's an intangible. It's not anything that you can put your finger on, really, except for the fact that I do believe that is a definite problem with momentum when you have that type problem with a team that is your big rival.
Yeah, I agree. I think the psyche of it. We saw that Harbaugh, of course, always asked that question because, listen, if you're brought in at Michigan or you're brought in at Ohio State, first things first, you have to beat the other one. We've seen that with Alabama and LSU. They bring coaches in. Coaches were fired because they win 10 games a year, but you can't beat Alabama. That's the norm when you look at it in the Big Ten. You have to take down the big monster there in Ohio State. But I agree with you. I don't think it's Michigan. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Not necessarily to take anything away from Michigan, but just because Ohio State, once again, is just so darn good. But, Coach, when we go down the list here, number 4 and number 5. Now, I would swap these. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid maybe as much as everybody else here, But they have number 4, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now, look, P.J. Fleck did a fantastic job. I want to make that very clear in bringing back a program in Minnesota that was mediocre at best, getting some great talent there. Recruiting-wise, he has done fantastic. When you're talking about they returned one of the top receivers in the conference. They have experience on the offensive line. They have the second-best quarterback stat-wise when you look in the Big Ten. This is a team that the big thing here is the schedule misses Ohio State and Penn State. They don't have to play them this year. They do get Michigan at home, and they could be favored in 10 games at least this year. Coach, would you put Minnesota ahead of Wisconsin right here at number 5?
I agree with you. I think you're talking about flipping them. I would too. I think Wisconsin is too solid a program right now, and they have an awful lot going for them. They've got a good football team now right in the mix with the top teams in the country for 4, 5, 6 years. And I certainly think that maybe longer than that, but I certainly think that Wisconsin would be number 4, and I'm not sure that in many cases they wouldn't be number 2. Now, they may not have the people coming back and the depth that they had in the past that would put them up to number 2 this year. But I think they have been in the past second best team, and I'm not so sure they won't again. So I like Wisconsin, and I think they could probably be there. Minnesota's a good football team. P.J. Fleck's done a good job, but Minnesota's still got a ways to go. I'm sure they don't have the quality depth there that the other schools that you've mentioned. Each one of the other schools would have a tremendous depth advantage on anything Minnesota could put on the field.
I agree, Coach. When you look at Wisconsin, depth is the word. Depth has always been the word of Wisconsin. They've always been a team that we talk about that's been on the cusp for so many years and have been a pain in the side of the big dogs for so many years in the Big Ten. They never go away. They continue to have great offensive line play. Look, next year they're going to have a great defense. I know they lost a couple guys. When you look at Jack Bond and those guys in the linebacker position, they are going to be really good again. I believe they'll have probably right there at the top when you talk about Ohio State. They may have the best defense in the Big Ten, depending on how Ohio State's the recruits are going to be. But in offense, we always know that offense, they're going to run the football. So if you're talking about Jonathan Taylor being gone, well, it seems that every year another guy emerges from that organization that you just go, okay, well, just another guy right there rolling right along. So the offensive line, like we said, is always going to be good. And quarterback Jack Cohn, look, I think he's efficient last year. I think he will take it to another level this year. A team to look out for sure, but I would definitely put them at 4 and Minnesota at 5. And it goes to what you said, Coach, with the depth here. Coach, when you talk about a team, and this is a team, of course, in Iowa. Now, I just bring them up before we go to break here because this team is always so tough, and now they have them listed about middle of the pack at number 7. Now, I understand, look, they've got a new receiving core coming in, but they're really talented. They love these guys. The running game is going to be solid, same running backs and everything as last year. The defense is coming back. This is a team that you do not want to play at Kinnick Stadium there in Iowa. They are always so tough. The Iowa Hawkeyes, Coach, a lot to like here with them, but ranking them about a little bit lower than midway through the pack, I have my doubts.
No, I do too. That's dangerous. Iowa is a good, solid football program, and even their coaching staff, they've been there now for a number of years. I like this Iowa football team, and I certainly feel like that they could, and you're right, I think they could be a team that could be up there. Heck, they could be third easily in the league, depending on some big games. If they knock off a couple of people, they'd be right up there knocking on the door, buddy.
Yeah, like I said, every year, this is the team you do not want to face, especially when you get later in the season. It's cold in Kinnick Stadium. These are guys just brutally tough, physical defense, especially the story when you talk about the cancer hospital right there behind, and a great scene there when you see them turn around and wave to them. But just the overall, I think that team is, you know what, go ahead and let them be off the radar because that's a team that could surprise people because they don't play what a lot of people call that sexy football style of throwing it all over the yard. They're going to line you up in a box, much like Wisconsin will do. much like Stanford was so successful with doing, and good luck trying to beat them. And that defense, how many players are in the NFL right now that are top-tier all-pro guys that played for Iowa? That's a team that, don't forget about them because they're coming. But, Coach, listen, we got to take a quick break here. When we come back, like I said before, Mike Tannenbaum said a couple outrageous comments here. Well, maybe not as outrageous to you, but we'll get your take on it, Coach, as well as, look, top quarterbacks we believe in the league as well. All that and more when we come back with Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're being safe, of course, with the roads being a little wet out there. If you're listening to us at home, we appreciate it. We appreciate all our listeners, but we're talking some football with you. Last segment of the show here, Coach. Look, Mike Tannenbaum came on and said, and this is Mike Tannenbaum said some outrageous things before. Not a big surprise that he said this, but had a lot of people questioning it today on First Take. Said if he was redrafting all the quarterbacks right now to start a team, that he would draft Trevor Lawrence second overall behind Patrick Mahomes. That's what the likes of, some of the other guys. Now, I understand certain guys like Brady maybe or Breeze that you don't because they're a little bit older and you're starting your team, however you want to look at it. But, Coach, he said, he believes Lawrence is the real deal. Now, I'm not disagreeing with that, but, Coach, I mean, is that just me, or does that seem like a quite the outrageous statement by Mike Tannenbaum?
Well, I think it depends on how you look at the question. Are you drafting? I'm suggesting that the question was meant if you were drafting quarterbacks for the future for your football team to be franchise quarterbacks in the future. I've said on this show, and I said yesterday, I think that if I wanted one for this year, there's no question in my mind I'd take Tom Brady. But if he's not for 4 or 5 years, certainly 10 years from now, but for a young quarterback, I really think Lawrence is going to be one in a generation type player. I think his upside is through the roof. And listen, Joe Burrow. How could you? Here's proof he's done something no other quarterback has done. My goodness, as far as production and his ability to make things happen on the field. So if I were going to draft young quarterbacks, I think there's some pretty good ones in the league, but I think I would certainly Lawrence would be in there. I think he would be in there. I'm not sure that he would be number 2, but he would be in there. I think certainly, we've got our young man in Kansas City. We've got I think Russell is certainly one that at Seattle. Like a quarterback. I think there are quite a few of them, but I would have, I think for the future, I would have Lawrence and Joe Burrow in there.
Yeah, I agree. And, Coach, we've talked about Joe Burrow. We've talked about Trevor Lawrence a lot. The question, and this is where everybody talking about Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback, has the potential to be one of the best. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, his unorthodox style, and my question to you, we talk about Lamar Jackson and how things are a little bit different. May not be what they always seem here. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, is this a guy that you think can have prolonged success in the NFL?
That's a good question. I think we're going to learn a heck of a lot more this year, through this year and next year. This is only he's such a young kid that you really can't, for people to say he's the best quarterback of all time, I think it's ridiculous. Now, he's a very talented young man. There's no doubt about that. And he's a very good quarterback. And he's going to be, I think, a good one days to come. But we're going to learn a heck of a lot more when he has to provide an offense that's had against people that have had a chance to really game planning and look at him in the off season. And I think you're going to have to evaluate him after some tougher opposition that he's going to face in the days to come. So that would be the way I would evaluate. I wouldn't even begin to put a tag on him right now. I think I would wait for at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, Coach, I agree. And remember, we talked about this before. It wasn't too long ago that these rookie quarterbacks didn't have to step in. So there's other guys that can step in and then do a great job that may not flourish as early as others. So that's where, we'll see what happens with the Joe Burrows as well as Tua. Tua was all the hot commodity moving on. But there's a lot of guys out there. Patrick Mahomes, had a fantastic year. He's a great quarterback. We'll see whenever teams are going to make adjustments. We know that. So we'll see what happens. I think that's the glory in all this, the glory in the NFL and the game of football is all it takes is a couple adjustments and you can change the entire ball game. But, Coach, nonetheless, that sound means it's time for us to go. We have a lot we didn't get to, but you know what? We'll get to it tomorrow. But, Coach, it's been a pleasure.
You bet. Look forward to it tomorrow, JP.
Absolutely, Coach. You take care. We appreciate it. We appreciate our listeners tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEVY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. Get you started with a couple of headlines that are important out there. The first one, of course, regarding the NBA. We've been talking about it all morning. There is a proposal at this point. The NBA's approved a plan for a 22-team return with 8 regular season games to be played. The Board of Governors intends to approve the league proposal on that format. The conference call and vote is set for 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Commissioner Adam Silver and the league's Advisory Finance Committee have shared the broad details of the plan with teams to play at the Walt Disney World Resort. Sources said the plan includes 13 Western Conference teams, 9 Eastern Conference teams, 8 regular season games, a possible play-in tournament for the A seed and playoffs. Sources said the top 16 teams in the East and West will be joined by teams currently within 6 games of 8th place in the 2 conferences. That would mean New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio, Sacramento, Phoenix, and Washington will be added. So a lot of details there that will be worked out, but as of now, we have an actual executable plan for the NBA on how they intend to return. Next up on the headlines that you need to know, a sad one for the college football community. Legendary Pittsburgh and Tennessee star coach John Majors, also a star on the field, died at the age of 85. Majors coached Pittsburgh to a football national championship in 1976, started as a star player at Tennessee in the 50s, later returned to his alma mater as coach to lead the Volunteers back to national prominence. He died Wednesday morning. He died at the age of 85. Our condolences go out to his family, obviously, through this time. And lastly, on the headlines you need to know, some positive news coming out from Dak Prescott. Cowboys quarterback Prescott has pledged $100 million to, quote, improve police training and address systematic racism through education and advocacy in our country. Prescott's Instagram post represents his first comments on social media regarding George Floyd, who died while in police custody in Minneapolis, last week. His post lays out beautifully, but he's given $1 million at this point. Quote, as our communities take action, protest